Okay, so I would like to introduce myself. I'm Farhana Nadhirah, I'm from Malaysia and currently doing my bachelor's in psychology. But first of all, I would like to thank everyone who's joining, taking your time to listen to this session. And I truly apologize since I cannot turn on my camera due to some technical issues, but I'll try my best to ensure a good session with all of you. So, I would like to share about my experience in education, which has been from 4 to 5 years now. I've been educating from the year of 2 years old until 12 years old. Yes. So basically, ever since I joined education, which I was 18 years old, it was an eye-opening thing for me. I am able to analyze children's behavior, understand their needs, understand their whatever they want to convey to us as teachers. So the purpose of my talk today is to share about how important the cognitive and emotional needs are for children, and we as adults, how do we actually take care of it? How do we monitor their to monitor the way they think, the way they picture the world? Yeah. So first of all, I would like to share how wide has mental health issues spread among children throughout all the years. Yeah. So it starts from the US and then it goes to Europe's and also Asian countries. So first of all, for the US, it started through anxiety and depression, which it includes from the year of 6 years old until 17 years old. It started with 5.4% in the year of 2003, and then it continues to 8.4% from the year of 2011 until 2012. And then in the US as well, 20.17% from the age of 12 until 17 years old will at least have one major depressive episode. And this has been recorded in the year of 2024. And to continue, 15% of youth has faced MDE as well, which is major depressive episode. And it has disturbed the daily routines of the teenagers and the youngsters. And 16.02% comes from the District of Columbia. 24.96% is started from Oregon. And I would also like to continue with a few places located in the US. Minnesota for 22.07%, Colorado 23.32%, Washington 23.39%, and many more places. This has been recorded from the year of 2021 until 2022, yet it's written and confirmed in the year of 2024, which 10% that comes from the age of 3 until 17 years old has currently been diagnosed with anxiety. 9% males and 11% females. 7% relating to behavior disorders, which starts from the age of 3 until 17. 10% male and 5% females. 4% children, which is also from the age of 3 until 17, has been facing depression, and 3% that concludes from male, 6% from female. Not to forget, if there is any question, you can definitely put the question in the chat. Yeah. So continuing for European countries relating to mental health as well, starting from Croatia, which the suicide children, youngsters that has been committing suicide has been increased among children, also adolescents, that has a rising trend of anxiety or depression. So I would say the cause of committing suicide in Croatia started from anxiety and depression. Yes, it may seem simple and normal. However, the way they try to handle anxiety and depression is definitely not easy. Some people would say, does depression even exist? Does anxiety even exist? But it does. To be honest, it does. And we have research, we have proof on how much it has disturbed people's daily routines. It doesn't matter the age, from children until adults. Continuing to England. England has in demand for child and adolescent mental health services called as CAHMS, which it is because of the amount of eating disorders facing by children back in England. And the amount of 409,347 children has been referred for specialist mental health care, which comes due to suicidal thoughts and self-harm. And then in Greece has been discovered facing hyperactivity disorder, which is relating to ADHD, anxiety, disruptive behavior, depression, also bullying, which is kind of surprising. No, it's not really that surprising that children would actually still bully others even at the very young age. Based on my personal experience, I've been teaching children from the year of 3 years old, 2 years old until the age of 12. And I've witnessed children that has been bullied and loves to bully. Some of them, they want the attention, they want the glory, the name, and just in class. And sometimes it could come from the environment they've been used to, the people that they have mixed around, the way of communication given by their parents, teachers, peers, relatives, all that. All right. So 22% in Greece, 22% health professionals has discovered through study that they have been suspected children that have been facing all this are also due to child abuse, also neglect. So usually child abuse would always come from adults, parents, it could be from teachers, it could be from the elder ones, because children, no matter what, they're innocent. They're very young. They just want to discover the world. They just want to understand of what is happening around them. And all they can do is observe. They don't have the strong mentality to actually think wisely at a very young age. Yes. So continuing through to Serbia, which is 10.8% has been reported facing bad mood. And this has been studied through the UNICEF survey. 4.1% has been facing depression symptoms. While in Slovenia, in 2022, has been reported children facing mental health issues due to misunderstanding, conflict with peers, family, psychological problems, school environment, and bullying. Okay, so there are also a few other countries in Europe that are also facing the same thing, facing mental health issues. However, they are focusing on COVID-19. What I would like to focus on is the actual thing that will remain for probably generations. COVID-19 has been reduced, and most of children now are more exposed to the outside world, to outdoors. Hence, it will the percentage of the increasing and the decreasing level of COVID-19 will change. Whatever it is, it will change. But not when it comes to surroundings, when it comes to environment. Okay, last, I would like to proceed to Asian countries. and it has been resulted facing high of depression, anxiety, and schizophrenia. Half of mental health disorders in Asia has started by the age of 14.1, which is through Asia and Pacific, which concludes 1/7 boys and 1/9 girls. So the high-risk country in Asia starts from the Philippines, which is the highest, 68%, Hong Kong, 59%, Singapore, 59%, and my own country, Malaysia, recorded as 51% in 2024, which is high. And Thailand has been recorded as the lowest, 38%. China has been recorded in the year of 2023, which is 11.78%. So, India has been facing ADHD, sensory impairment, which relates to hearing, vision, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, seizures, intellectual disabilities, or other learning disorders, autism, depression, anxiety, and the amount of mental health issues is 7.1% in the year of 2024. So that is all for all the recorded countries that I have studied through online, through articles and journals. So the reason why I would like to emphasize this worldwide, because I think the idea of taking care of cognitive and emotional needs also needs to spread worldwide, because the need of children is not only from only one country. It comes from many places, many kind of souls, many type of children are facing the feeling of, why am I forced to do this? Why can't I feel the actual freedom like other children? Some may complain that my parents are too strict on not even letting me to play outside, even for a few minutes or even an hour. Some children will complain like that. Some just accept it. However, silently, we do not realize that the things that we have been doing as adults to our children, our new generations, it will eventually turn them into our mentality, which some would be good, some would be positive, some would be toxic. Some would think that they need to push themselves very hard at a very young age, which is, of course, not healthy. It would start from the age of 4 until 10. I've seen this through my students, and whenever they talk to me, they will still ask, if I do this, teacher, will my parents be proud of me? If I do this, teacher, will my mom, will my dad be nicer to me? I was stunned. I was shocked with their statement. However, I respect every kind of parenting that has been used by all parents around the world. I totally respect that, but this is just a method that I would like to suggest, that I would like to share, in order to prevent any emotional conflict facing by our children, also cognitive conflict. Okay, so I would like to continue to the consequences. So with the pressure that we've been giving to our children, no matter what kind of pressure we give them, it will eventually lead them to stress. And this happens mostly due to academic pressure that, of course, it's done worldwide. It's not only by one or two countries. Every country has a family that gives, not just family, society that is giving academic pressure to innocent children. I really don't mind if the child is a person who naturally wants to learn, naturally is curious, wants to do this and many other things. However, what I'm really concerned of is when they are forced to be hard on themselves. Okay, so after facing academic pressures, it is as if they are being positioned on a pedestal, all right, a pedestal which has levels, right? A simple example, if we like someone, if we as adults, we like someone, and this person puts us on a pedestal, puts us on levels, which category are we? Of course it will hurt us. Why are we put on a pedestal? Why couldn't you just understand me, look at me? That's just a simple example to understand how heavy it is, how tiring it is for children to put on a pedestal as well. For example, if there's like two families, they'll do comparisons, between child A, child B, or maybe child C. There'll be a few children in a few families, and then the adults will put them on pedestals. The adults will rank. They will rank these children, or this kid is smarter. This kid is, all that, all that kind of method that will lead children to feel insecure, to have an excessive fear to fail. At some point, when they feel fearful to fail, it will become critical at some point. When they grow older, they will start to be obsessed. They will start to worry. Some kids will even lead themselves to anxiety because they're too used to be pressured with what the society will talk about them. What will their parents, their family would say about them? It's not that they're not trying. Especially for the children who are trying, I pity them the most. Children who are trying are really struggling, because they're very young. They are trying to expose themselves through multiple kind of methods of learning, and it will probably take time. It will definitely take time. For example, I don't have that much of examples, but I would say that myself, I'm a late bloomer. Why do I say that I'm a late bloomer? It's because during my school days, I struggle in a few subjects. I really do. I really find, for example, mathematics. All right, mathematics is a huge struggle, a huge challenge to me. However, I start to mature myself as I enter university. I enter university and I know how to navigate the way I study, to understand the topics on my own. So from there, I learn through my experiences. I learn through guilt. I learn through my mistakes. And I eventually grown up. My mindset has changed and it's better now. So, okay, continuing to, I would say that these children who has been facing stress also has no free choices given. Some of them has to study from morning, afternoon, evening, and sometimes they've been pushed to study for hours. Of course, children can cope with it. Of course, I wouldn't deny that there are parents who encourage their children to study more, to excel more, and I truly respect that, of course. However, giving a free choice is definitely essential for children to actually excel more, to actually have an open communication with us as adults. It doesn't have to be the parent at some point. It can be peers, it can be the teachers. Because when the kids come to me talking about their parents, I've been thinking, so they've been keeping this to themselves. They've been they've been feeling doubt about their skills, probably. So having free choices can lead them to not make firm decisions as they grow older. They will start to doubt any decision that they make, and everything they do, they might need to refer to the parent. They might have to ask the parent. At some point, when they grow older, when they reach adulthood, they will realize, I don't know how to lead my life. I've been relying on my parents for so long, or my siblings, or society. I don't have my own way of thinking, and I don't know what I want right now. So that's the sad thing that children has been facing. Not just children, even adolescents. And they will also face time management issues, which could lead them to anxiety. I've been facing that. I've been facing time management issues before, and I wouldn't argue. I definitely agree that it leads to anxiety. It leads to stress. Some people will even sweat whenever they are rushing. For example, they can't manage their time to complete a task, or probably to go to work. They will take their time. They will be too laid back in life because they cannot manage their own life due to due to whatever has been happening relating to stress and everything that happened in their life. And also, it will also distance them from people. They don't know how to communicate well. They, again, I would say rely on adults, not relate. Rely on adults. They will start to put boundaries, and they don't know how to mix around well with the society, which is really crucial because, however, we will grow older, we will have to communicate with people, yet these children, this is what they're facing. They will, for example, some children will stay in their room and play with their phone. Of course, it wouldn't just be the fault of the adult. It will also be their own habit. You know, they've been used to staying in the room. They've been used to doing everything alone. And the way that I would suggest is us as as adults and as a family, we could force them actually to stay with us in the living room, watch television, instead of staying in their own room for so long, for hours, and wasting their time on their phone. So the next one is they will start to reflect on the lack of support in life by their environment, by the people around them. First of all, it will lead them to inferior, which this can be related to Erikson theory relating to psychosocial at this stage of autonomy and doubt. They will feel doubt in whatever they do because they don't feel the strong support, you know, from the parents, the father, the mother, the family, the surroundings, the friends. So when there's no backbone for them, they will, of course, feel doubt. Can I even do this? I know that I'm good, but I don't think I can do it. I know I'm good, but I want to give up because I've gone so far, but for example, it messed up at the last minute. And the child eventually gives up. Because why? Because the child knows, oh, whatever I do, I will not get any support from my family. For example, if the child wants to be a fashion designer, however, the society keeps telling them, or even their own family, no, you shouldn't be a fashion designer. You should be an engineer. You should be a teacher. You should be, something that they don't want. And when they try to go against other people's decision, the thing is, they do not get the support. They don't get the support for making their own decisions. They choose to be sad, and they choose to give up eventually because they know, I don't have any support anyway. Why should I continue? Yes, it may seem, oh, this is very childish. This is very boring for a person to actually think that way. But to be honest, the need of having a backbone is really crucial. Even us as adults, for example, if the husband goes to work, right? The husband goes to work, finds some money and gets tired. But when he comes home, the wife is all loving, caring, always there to be his backbone. So no matter how tired he is, he knows that he will keep going to ensure a good, safe, secure life for his wife and his children. Yep. So, continuing, for moral support, yes, they will face lack of confidence due to reflecting on the lack of support as well. So when they face lack of confidence, some children will probably, like I said just now, feel doubt, feel inferior. However, some children will happen to bully others to gain the confidence. The twist right there. Because sometimes it will come from home. It will come from the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind of the child by thinking, I am not getting attention. I want attention. Well, why my parents aren't actually caring for me? Why my parents keep neglecting me? So the way for them to approach for more attention is through such a toxic way. And the toxic way is through bullying. Yes, because I've witnessed my own student in order for them to get my attention, sometimes they will underestimate others. Sometimes they will downgrade other students just to tell me that he or she is the smartest student in class. And of course, I will definitely stop them. I would definitely stop them from saying such harsh words to actually underestimate other people when they don't have the right to, because they're very young. How can such a young child, a child or an adolescent, to actually bully others? And actually, the culture of bullying has been so normal in school, in primary school, secondary school. Sometimes it can continue to university. Sometimes it can continue to work. That is how the psychological trick is playing with our minds. It remains there. As for long as we do not change ourselves or we help the children to change, it will remain there. The toxic mindset, the toxic way of speaking, it will stay there. And it is very crucial for us to actually stop them in a nice way. Don't scold them. Don't hate them. Don't spread any bad words to children, because I've seen teachers speaking in such a harsh way to children just when they start to bully, just when they start to make a mistake. Teachers will start to yell. They will yell. They will show that they do not like this student, when that's not a nice way. If we ever want to pull everyone together, we want to change what's happening around us, is of course through a whole, which we need to teach everyone in class. Of course, this is very general. Teach everyone in class and remind them every single day of what to do and what not to do in class. Which one is bad and which one is fine. Okay, so like I said earlier, they will also still feel odd to face the society. This can be related to the theory of Lev Vygotsky, which is social-cultural theory. Okay, why do I relate with Lev Vygotsky? Because social-cultural relates to the way the children are brought up by the environment and the communication given. So, this may happen due to lack of communication. When the child is not given a good communication by the adults, by the society, not really society, it comes from the family itself, the close ones. From the close ones, if we help them, if we encourage them to always be open in a nice way, not by yelling, not by screaming, not by blaming, pointing fingers at other people, but to always do self-reflection and try to communicate in such a polite way. If we try to make that happen, then it'll be fine. I believe it will be fine. But some children just face lack of communication in their family, which will, at the end of the day, will make them having communication issues. So Lev Vygotsky's theory, as an example, if the household is used to saying harsh words, even as jokes, saying harsh words, it will eventually influence the child to do the same thing at school or anywhere else. They're just so used to it, sometimes even to strangers. They don't mind. They think that it is fine because it has been the such environment has been started at home, the closest place they could ever be. So that's how they learn. Okay, so after lack of communication, they will also face lack of mannerism. Like I said, the harsh words, the bad words they will keep saying, the bad habits they will do. My own student, they made a gesture in front of me in class. I didn't know anything at all. It was all of a sudden, I just started teaching them. Maybe in 1 week, 2 weeks, and they did such an appropriate gesture, which is for adult content, I would say. They did it right in front of me, but they did not make it to me. They did not directed it to me, but they made it among them. They made that that an inappropriate gesture in front of their friends, which I saw. And of course, I definitely taught them through it. I asked them to stop. I asked them to change. I gave them some pep talk, making sure that everything will go smoothly in my class, and do not try to spread this kind of behavior, not just in class. Because the ones who did that appropriate gesture, I would say 18 plus, their age was just 11 years old, 11 and 8 years old. So how do I talk them through? Since they're all boys, there's no girl in my class during that time. I start telling them, if you continue this kind of behavior, this kind of gesture, I would say that I would assume that you don't love your mom, you don't love your sister. Because what I want them to understand is to respect, because when they do that, of course it relates to women. And where did they learn it? Where did they learn it, right? So it will relate to women somehow. So I would just relate to any kind of woman they have in life. Because I know my students, so I know some of them still have their mom, some don't. Some has grandma, some don't. So I just emphasize on each one of them. And they start to understand, and slowly they promise that they won't do it again. Because no matter what, to actually remind them of how to respect women as boys is really crucial as well. Because at a very young age, they have been doing such an inappropriate gesture. I'm not surprised in this century of technology. Decade, not century, more to decade. With the technology advancement that we have, they will keep continuing this kind of behavior somehow. So I will always remind them, whenever coming to class, do not do that ever again. Do not. And always to respect, not only speak. You can voice out your opinions, but make it, don't shout. Don't shout at me. Don't try to underestimate other students. Don't try to play around in class unless it's time for rest. Because during my class, I would usually, for example, if I'm done with them for 30 minutes, then I'll take 5. I'll let them drink water. I'll let them do whatever they want for 5 minutes. Then after 5 minutes, then only I'll continue with more of their learning sessions. Because some teachers wonder, why do I take 5 in classes? Because some teachers do that, some teachers don't. I would say, in my opinion, is because I understand how tired they are, because they've been schooling ever since morning and continuing to the afternoon, and then after they're done, they go home for lunch. And then they return. Excuse me. In the evening for more tuition classes, which I would say, the class that I was teaching was a tuition class, and it is meant for international school syllabus. Yes, so my students in my class are mostly from international schools. So, of course, dealing with boys, all boys in class, I would say is quite tough because of their behavior, their energy as boys, right? However, the way that we can influence them is to be their friend. We still have to teach. We still have to maintain a strict demeanor from a teacher to a student, but make it more chill because it's boys. Boys usually aren't really serious. But what I believe with my students who are boys, that is the way for them to actually see how engaging the class is, if the teacher can be friends with them. However, we always have to remind that there are boundaries, because sometimes I would joke with them. I will make some jokes. I will laugh, and I'll make it more comfortable for all of them. Okay. So, and then lastly, due to what's happening, lack of communication, lack of mannerism, and lack of support, they will face limits of creativity and ideas. So, why do I say it will limit their creativity and ideas? Is because is because of not used to mixing around, not to seeing the world. They probably can draw, they probably can do essays. However, can they actually be more creative in suggesting ideas, especially when they're into the working world? Can they actually suggest like realistic things, not only imaginaries, but realistic? Because they haven't seen the real world. And when they are too odd facing society, facing the world, this is what will happen. They will face limited creativity and ideas, no matter what. In art, essays, life, almost everything. Not everything, but a part of everything. Okay, so now I would like to share my slide. um, okay. Hello, Thriza. I left you a message in the chat. Okay. All right. So I would like to proceed with the psychological theories that can be related. So why do I relate with the psychological theories is because I want to make it as a target for further enhancement in learning, also teaching experience. Because no matter what, we are always playing with the human mind. A child's mind is also a human mind, right? So with the psychological theories, we can have it as a strong foundation for us to create even subtle interventions. Okay, so first we have the ecological theory, which is created by Yuri Bronfenbrenner in the year of 1979, starting from the individual microsystem, mesosystem, exosystem, microsystem, and chronosystem. Okay, so why do I want to emphasize on ecological theory? First, of course, the big title here is to eliminate discrimination, as this has been started since the year of 2023. So why we will have to focus on ecological theories? Because we are playing with someone's background, culture, and wealth. So of course, we as teachers, adults, we need to respect other cultures, not just adults, even the children. Okay. So why do I say respecting cultures? Because the disturbance facing by children are also by the peers, even the teachers who do not respect other people's cultures. Sometimes, for example, in a kindergarten, right? Probably there are Muslims. There are Muslims in that kindergarten. However, the food prepared, the institution welcomed Muslim students. However, they do not respect the religion, the culture of the Muslim. For example, some would question, why are you wearing a hijab? Why are you wearing such covered clothes? Why are you wearing a skirt? And some teachers will even make fun of them. Some teachers will make fun of the kids or even the teachers themselves. Teachers to teachers. They will start to disrespect other people, each other's cultures, each other's religions due to the differences. Hence, it will lead to mental health disturbance without us realizing. It will be fine. It's just a joke. It's just for fun. However, this is why it will actually influence a child's or an adult's mindset. So, continuing by understanding students' background. Okay. So, what I meant by understanding students' background is to respect that some children come from families who are probably divorced. Some of them may come from, no, not come from. Some of them live with just their grandma, their grandpa. So sometimes the limit for them to actually learn more will actually increase. They probably do not understand what it is to communicate with the father, what it is to communicate with the mother. So it's just some people, some adults, even children, they keep asking, why aren't you living with your mother? Have you not communicated with her? Don't you talk to your mother or your father? Which will become a huge question that is also very disrespecting. Some teachers feel, oh, it's fine, it's okay, it's just a question, it's just your friend is just being curious about you. But if we adults, I believe that adults can actually sense the way of a child is asking another child. If the child is truly genuinely wants to know why, the way they ask will be genuine. Some of them will just be sarcastic. Some of them will just be talking in a bad tone. Yeah, so when we teachers, we know that this child is not coming from a family, a happy family, maybe a complete family. Maybe some of them are orphans. The thing is, do not question them too much about it. I've seen, based on my own experience, my own colleagues, they keep on questioning, and some of them even underestimate the student just because of their background. Some teachers would also put them on a pedestal, like I mentioned earlier, how children are put on a pedestal, right? So teachers do the same thing. Yeah, I'm making this very general. Even the teachers, which is really disappointing because we are educators, we are teachers, we are the people who are trying to shape this generation. But why are we trying to bring them down? Why are we trying to make them feel smaller? The thing as a teacher is to push our children to go further, higher than before, in a good way, of course. Okay, and then not underestimating students' wealth, because some teachers, even children, they will question, for example, student A is using an expensive car and student B is not. Student B is using a normal car that can be seen on roads, a car that is very common. Okay, so student A has been underestimating student B, yet the teacher didn't do anything. The teacher just think, oh, it is fine. It is normal for a child to ask a child, for a child to actually communicate. And some teachers are just too tired to even care about it. When actually, it's the responsibility. It's the responsibility as a teacher to actually make sure in their classroom, it is a safe environment. Okay, now, proceeding here. Okay, this is the ecological theory. Starting from the individual, relates to sex, age, health, relating to us, our own self. So then going to the microsystem, which is the family, health services, school, peers, the ones who are the closest to us. It's external, but close to us. So out of all that is shown here, the strongest influence is definitely microsystem. That's why I've been emphasizing on adults, teachers, the people who are close to the child, the people who are close to the individual, to actually maintain a safe environment for them. Because I would say, if the family, the school, if the people around them are being very positive, are being very supportive with whatever they do, as long as it's good, as long as we know that this is a good progress, they're improving. If there's a support there, they can reach new heights. That is what I would say. Because, like I said just now, when I relate to backbone, it's the microsystem. Okay, so going to the mesosystem, which is related between microsystem and exosystem. Friends of family, neighbors, workplace. The parents' workplace. the parents' workplace. Okay. For example, sometimes workplace can also influence the parents. For example, if the workplace is toxic and maybe tiring for the parent, sometimes when the parents come home and they're doing work, for example, they're doing work, completing their task, and suddenly the child comes in just to show, for example, the child brings a drawing. They will probably say, Dad, I've done a drawing today. Do you like it? If an adult who knows how to control their own emotions, despite how tiring they are, they will definitely say it's nice, it's good. Look at them. Okay. Some people, they respond to the child. However, they have been looking at the laptop without looking into their eyes. What children want is just attention, even for 5 minutes, even for 2 minutes. Just your attention. Because why? Because they care. Because they love you. That's why all you need to do whenever they show something is to just look into their eyes and say, it's nice. Yes. And then when they expect more and you're very busy, just tell them off that you're sorry and you need to focus on other things right now. It's not that you don't love them, but you have more difficult things to handle, which relates to work. And when they're always reminded by that, slowly they will understand, okay, I only have 2 minutes, 5 minutes with my father or my mom. So I have to respect their time. I have to respect their space. It's not that they don't love me, but they need to work. If you can actually give a small amount of time to your child, it will definitely automatically help them a lot, because that's all they need. A simple gesture, that's all they need. Okay. So going to macro system, which is attitudes and ideologies of the culture. So macro system, it's obvious here, it relates to the culture. However, culture doesn't really influence us as much as microsystem does. For example, if it's Chinese New Year, right? The culture says is to wear cheongsam, wear samfu, the traditional attires for Chinese race, Chinese culture. However, your microsystem says, your family says, let's not wear cheongsam today. Let's wear a dress. Let's wear something formal. But besides then cheongsam, maybe we can wear cheongsam tomorrow. Maybe we can wear it during dinner tonight, or maybe the day before Chinese New Year. It depends. So it still goes back to the microsystem. If the family chooses to wear a cheongsam, a samfu, not cheongsam, samfu. If they choose to wear a dress or anything formal besides than traditional attire, the children will eventually follow them. They will think, okay, my family is wearing this, then I'll wear this. If the children knows how to think out of the box and they are so stuck to the culture, then probably they will think into another way. They will think, no matter what, I have to wear cheongsam or samfu, not just a dress, not just a formal suit, formal shirt. Yes. So, and for chrono system, it relates to social historical conditions and time since life events. It relates to time. Yeah. So, now, next is cognitive development theory, which is created by Jean Piaget since the year 1936. So, this is also a theory that I would like to make as a target and understanding, since it relates to cognitive needs as well. So first is sensory motor skills, which starts from infants until 2 years old. Okay, so I would say this is where they start to learn through their 5 senses: eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and touch. So the thing is, some of them are not really exposed to that. Some adults, they just neglect these children, or some adults don't even want them to explore much, probably due to fear, due to being overprotective, because some of them probably, like I've seen a few institutions which I'm very happy for, even my own friend, She graduated from diploma in early childhood education, which is the same diploma as me. I was in diploma early childhood before I go to degree of psychology. So during my diploma, my friend was very subtle. She wasn't a type who would actually shine among others. But now, with diploma early childhood, with the knowledge she has, she starts her own business that relates to sensory motor. You know, it is open to children who are definitely from 2 years old, younger, or even older. The target is to have sensory play, because it actually helps children a lot while doing sensory play. For example, sand, rice, not rice, rice, balls, the small balls, cereals, let them touch, let them get dirty. At the age of infant until 2 years old, we need to understand they need to get dirty. Some of them has been limited. Some of them are not given a chance. Oh, don't play with the dirt. Don't play with this or that. You'll get dirty and you'll get sick. No, at the age of infant until 2 years old, this is where they start to develop their skills. This is where they start to hold, they start to suck, they start to smell, they start to see things. This is where they will get to know the world. And then, and also, parents need to understand, not just parents, teachers, society, need to understand that it's a long process. Cognitive development is quite a long process. It will take years. Some children, they don't start, for example, holding properly at the age of 1 or 2, probably at the age of 3. It really depends on the development. But if you really want your children to actually, develop faster, develop well, is to, of course, give them the exposure, give them the encouragement. It's okay if they get dirty. It's okay if they get a little bit messy, got some cereals stuck by their cheeks. It's fine. It's fine. It's normal for children to face all that. Okay, and then at the age of 2 until 7 years old. So at the age of 2 until 7 years old, this is where they start to have their own way of perspective. They start to understand what they want, yet at the same time, they still rely on their parents. They still don't know how to make their decisions, but they are there. They're almost there. They can actually define, imagine the future in themselves, what they want to be, what they want to achieve. Because sometimes I ask my students, what do you want to be when you grow up? At the age of 5 years old, some of them would say, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a teacher. I only ask for one. I don't ask for many because it'll be very complicated for them. So I ask just one. Some of them wants to be a singer and all that. And I never say no. As long as it's a good thing, it's not something that will bring them to the wrong path, then it's fine. Some of them will also mention superheroes. Some of them would say, I want to be Superman. I want to be Wonder Woman. And for me, as long as, even it's not realistic, even it's just an animation, right? It doesn't even exist in this world. But they have that heroic spirit in themselves. And that's good. That's a positivity. Okay, so continuing to concrete operational, which is from the age of 7 to 11 years old. So this is where they start to have logical thinking. This is where they start to see what they want. And some of them will actually say no to their parents. For example, the parents say, tonight we have to study math. And then they will argue back. Some of them will argue back. But I already learned math yesterday. It really depends on the development. Sometimes it will start from pre-operational if they are really advanced, if they're smart-mouthed. So they will start early. But in concrete operational is the usual moment where they start to say no, when they start to disagree with whatever decision that is not from them, but from other people. 7 to 11 years old. For example, if the parent says that you have to study math tonight, and the child says, oh no, I already done mathematics yesterday. Why would I have to continue again? And then the parent says, but you still have to do it. And they will start arguing. Because why? Because the child knows what he or she wants. For them, they already followed the rules. They already obeyed what the adults told them. Why are they forced even more? Okay, so then formal operational, which starts from 12 years old and above. So formal operational, okay. So at this age, basically they're entering adolescence. I would say that they will proceed to actually have the eagerness to start a relationship. So it is because the hormones have changed. The mindset has changed. You know, they are older now. They've watched probably movies, cartoons. They've seen two characters in love, and maybe they felt the flutter in their heart. They felt that it's fun. It's different. I've never felt this before. I want to feel it. So during this adolescent moment, this is where actually this has to be emphasized ever since younger, pre-operational stage. But during formal operational is where parents need to be aware as well of the child's blend in life. I would say her or his surroundings, the friends, the applications they're using, because I've had experienced my own contact entered dating applications. Yes, dating applications at a very young age, younger than 16 years old, which is definitely dangerous because in dating applications there are tons of them. I mean, who are definitely older than 18 years old. Because some dating applications, they would ask your age, some will not. Some will just let it be. But most of them will definitely ask your age. However, some people just know how to lie about it. So, during this moment, they will start to feel curious. How does it feel like to talk to someone online? And then they start to see pictures of a guy or a girl. Oh, he's so handsome. She's so pretty. And suddenly they start to chat and it goes somewhere. It's actually something now, which it is dangerous, of course. So, I would say this is very general. To limit screen time. Yes, screen time. This is definitely very general nowadays, where parents, adults has been limiting screen time. Yeah, so I would suggest maybe just 2 hours at the age of 12, 13. Make them focus more on studies, because when they're too carried away with these applications, with their surroundings, with the culture shock, definitely culture shock, it will eventually lead them to somewhere else. They won't focus on studies. They will, because of culture shock, they will actually focus on their phone more. They will start to think that this guy loves me, this girl loves me, when maybe all those are just scammers. They're not even real people. Right? So it's very dangerous. It's very concerning for children's safety, even adolescents' safety, because they are still under our monitor as adults. Okay. So continuing to process of change. Like I mentioned just now, in sensory motor stage, that cognitive development takes time. So because I've seen one of my student who he was 4 years old back then. Everything was good, It's just he's struggling with his writing, numbers and words. He was struggling, but he was 4. He was 4. We cannot expect too much from a 4 years old because he or she is very young. I mean, my student is a he, and he was very young. It was the beginning of the year. It was back then. It was 2020, and it was just January. He just entered school. His writing is like a normal 4 years old kid. However, I see his improvements, I've seen his improvements. I've seen his effort to actually become better. And he excels in my class very well. Like after I've educated him, not just me, other teachers as well, after days of educating, after practice and repetition, he is improving. That's That's what I would say. He's improving very much. But the parent, the parents expect more. The parents expect my child needs to have a writing of a 12 years old. 12 years old. I couldn't imagine. How could a 4 years old kid who is struggling with writing still fidgeting? The writing is still fidgeting. His hands is still fidgeting. But you expect him to write like a 12 years old during the first month of schooling. For me, that is so cruel as a parent to the child, because definitely they will feel forced, they will feel tired. This is where they start to talk to me. They will start to ask, like, is their parents proud of them? Is my improvement making my mom or my dad proud of me? It makes me sad, like a 4 years old having such expectations, like, it's not okay. It's really not okay. All right, continuing. Provide an open and safe environment. So, to provide an open and safe environment, of course, is to encouraging open communication from a teacher to a student, parent to a child. For example, if we as adults, of course we have expectations for our child, for our sister, brother, anyone younger than us. But this child probably cannot reach it. The child cannot reach the expectations, So the way for you to talk to them is to, of course, make an open communication. Understand what they want. Understand the skills that they have that they could actually use in the real world, But let's not start such a serious conversation at the year of 6 years old, at the year of 11 years old. It's too pressuring because they're very young. They haven't even have puberty at that moment. So this is what I would say, to always have open communication. As a teacher, to always ask their opinion. When we teach a title, of course, we will ask their opinions, right? That is normal for a teacher, I would say. But how about other adults? Like, we've been putting expectations, but we never ask about theirs. What do they expect from themselves? What do they want for themselves? So the thing is, when they are not open to such communication with us, first they will start to put boundaries. They will start to think, I'm not safe with this person. I'm not safe with, for example, my sister, my mom, my dad, my teacher. I'm not safe with them. I'm not safe with my friends. I feel that I'm all alone. And suddenly they will start to feel insecure. Suddenly they feel they hate this world. And that's where such nonsense turns them to having depression at a very young age. Through what I read earlier, through the countries, yes, depression, anxiety, these two are the biggest records around the world. Even Asian countries, depression, anxiety. So yes, an open and safe environment, which also means open for discussion. If we do something, for example, at home, we're talking about a vacation, we're talking about even the simple things, who's doing the dishes tonight, who's sweeping the house today. We can actually have a discussion about it, not to be too selfish. My child needs to listen to me. My child needs to follow all the rules that I set for my child. That is definitely concerning. Yeah. So when we provide an open and safe environment for our children, they will feel more open. Like, instead of them saying, if they have problems at school, okay, they are being bullied, they are being downgraded, for example, by their peers, and it's getting out of hand. It's getting worse day by day. It's getting worse. So the way for us as adults to handle it is to, of course, be open to them. And at the end of the day, instead of them saying, oh, I'm being bullied at school, but I don't think I could tell my mom. I don't think I could tell my dad. All I know is they want me to excel in studies. Maybe I should just forget I'm being bullied. Maybe let's just forget of what I want. Some children think like that. Even my own contacts, my own friends, my own students. So instead of them saying that way, which is so negative, so toxic, if we provide a safe environment for them, they will eventually turn to, I'm getting bullied at school, I'm getting downgraded. Maybe I should talk to mom. Maybe I should talk to dad. They will know what to do. A change, a shift of behavior, a shift of mindset right there. It will make them more confident. Why? Because they see that they have a backbone. They know that no matter what happens, their parents are there. Their parents, the adults in the house, the peers, the teachers will always understand their situation and always there to help, always there to discuss and treat them like a normal human being who makes mistakes, who falls and get up again. Okay. Okay. Proceeding to assessment to learning. So, wait a second. Okay. So first of all is behaviorism theory. So the reason why I include assessment to learning is because this is also a target that I would like, not just me, I would like other people to reach as well. So first of all is behaviorism theory, which is done by John B. Watson and B.F. Skinner. And John B. Watson is the one who is the founder. And John B. Watson is very well known. Okay, so proceeding for behaviorism theory, the purpose of having the assessment through behaviorism theory is to detect any change in observable behavior. Okay, so the result that came out from any assessment done that relates to behaviorism theory will happen due to the environment provided. The way the child answers will eventually go back to the environment that the child is used to. And then the kind of examination done through behaviorism theory is multiple choices exam. Because they have other choices, right? They cannot stick to one and they can choose any other kind of answers, yet it has to be right or wrong. It is still standardized. It is normal and it is definitely general in this generation as well. We still have it. We still have it in schools. We still have it in universities. And it can be a bit tricky. But it also results on how the child thinks, on how the child process the answers from them. The way they look at the world, the way they look at the question. Okay, then proceeding to cognitivism theory, which relates to assessment and evaluation, which, okay, but before that, it is done by Ulrich Richard Gustav, and he is a German associate psychologist. So, in this theory, it believes in active process. Okay. So active process is basically, for example, when we do mathematics, right? Mathematics. So when we do mathematics, we have the formula, we have the work done, and we have the answers in the end, right? It can be long, it can be short. However, we can see that even though the answers is wrong, but the work process is correct, the child or the student will still get the marks. Yeah, so this is what the theory emphasizes on. It focuses on active process. We can still get marks even through formula, even the answer is wrong. But if the formula is wrong and the answer is right, the marks will of course be deducted because of the wrong process itself. It was wrong in the first place, so that's why. Okay, so continuing to constructivism theory done by Jean Piaget. So Jean Piaget is the same person for cognitive development theory. So in this theory, we can observe on how learners will construct knowledge through reflecting on their own experiences. For example, essays. I believe we've all been through this. We have to do our own free type of essay, right? In school, tell about your family, your experience. What do you think about this, about a place, all those type of essays. And also, this is where learners will be observed and they will start to share their experience through essays, through wordings. Usually it's through wordings. They will communicate and convey their feelings through such essays they have to do. Okay, so then continuing to multiple intelligence. So for multiple intelligence, we have not a few, but many. So I would say multiple intelligence comes from interpersonal, interpersonal skills, logical, mathematical, linguistic, verbal, naturalistic, bodily, kinesthetic, and musical. Okay, so the reason why I want to emphasize on multiple intelligence theory, because we have to accept that every one of us has our own way of intelligence. For example, me myself, I am not good in logical mathematical. I am more to linguistic verbal and intrapersonal. And I would say that, oh yeah, I forgot one part of it, which is visual spatial. Yes. So visual spatial is basically a person who is good in measuring, a person who is keen to learn about a space, a place of a location. For example, a house, to measure a car. Mostly houses. Yeah. So I would say people who are good in visual spatial can be, for example, architects, interior designers. Yeah. So I would say that I'm also not that good in bodily kinesthetic, and it's fine. It's fine because all of us has our own type of intelligence. I believe every one of us in this session also has the same thing. Like maybe some of us are good in linguistic verbal. Some of us we love the nature, so is on naturalistic intelligence. Some of us would be interpersonal, which is good in communicating with others, good with the crowd. All right. So these are the 4 theories relating to assessment to learning. So like I mentioned just now, multiple choices exam, believe in active process. So this is all it. Yeah. So on the last one, this is all that I mentioned. Yeah. So I guess we can skip this one because I already mentioned it earlier. All right. So theories in meeting children's need. So the theories that I would like to emphasize here as well is humanism theory, starting by humanism theory, which is created by Carl Rogers, Abraham Maslow, and James F.T. Bugenzel. So through humanism theory is where we will observe the learner and the potential that the learner has. All right. And to address students' emotional, also psychological needs. This is where we will measure humanism theory, which can be through art and also music. Because in other subjects like essays, yes, we can write, we can express ourselves, but some children don't, they find it hard to write. More like between children who are bad in art and bad in writing, the ones who are bad in writing is more, because they need to find the right word to convey the message, to say that he's sad or he's angry. For example, if they have to make poetry, especially poetry, it takes time for them to share anything that they have in mind, and they want to put it in words and they want to make it good. So the best way is through art and music, because some children, they are being maybe unconscious, subconscious of the art that they're making. Some of them make it, for example, they are drawing a field of flowers, but suddenly in the middle there's fire. Suddenly in the middle there's a monster, something creepy, something scary in the middle, which can actually be a question. Why would there be a monster? And children who are actually below 6 years old drawing such monsters, drawing scary things in the middle of a beautiful field, for example, why are they doing that? It will be a question right there, but we can see the creativity, and we as teachers, we need to respect that. We need to respect, this is how they portray. This is how they want to convey their message to us. But if you see it as concerning, if you see it as the drawing is getting worse, is getting bad, maybe we as teachers, we should ask them, what do you think about your drawing? What is this? Why do you draw this type of thing? Why do you draw this creature? Maybe they won't say, oh, because I'm facing sadness. I'm facing depression. I'm sad at home. My family doesn't love me. They probably wouldn't say that. They'll just say, because I like it. And the question is, why do they like it? Because usually children are more open to superheroes. Yeah, they're open to superheroes, cartoons, bright things. Because I've observed children who are positive. When they're positive, their drawings wouldn't be a problem. It will completely be normal. Okay, just to share that I'm also a graduate from Mozart International art class, which is located in Malaysia. And I've been in the art class since I was 9 years old until 16. So I can actually evaluate. Yeah, I can actually evaluate the way my children draws, not my children, my students, the way they draw, the way they portray, the way they try to send a message to me. All right. So continuing to hierarchy of needs, which is created by Abraham Maslow, the same person who created humanism. So why do I make hierarchy of needs as a target in this session? So first of all, we start from the lowest level, which is the important needs relating to food, water, and shelter. But of course, that is not the strong thing that we will be focusing on in this session. So then the next one is to also focus on health, social ability, and family, is to ensure a safe environment. The target here is for us adults to provide a safe environment for these children. And then going to the next one, which is relating to friendship, sense of connection. So the way that we can help children to actually make a friendship is to teach them, approach someone in a nice way. Don't approach them in such a competitive way. Because I've seen my own student. Okay, he's 8 years old, and the other party is 11 years old. Okay, the one is older. The 11 years old is a humble person, and he's not that smart, but he's nice, he's kind, and he's very polite. Yet the one who's 8 years old, he is the smartest in my class, I would say. But of course, I treat them all evenly. I will not put them in such pressure that this person is better, this person is better. That is definitely restricted in my class. Yes, because they all deserve the same way of educating. And for sure, the one that I will focus the most is not the one who is the smartest, but the one who is not. Because we know that their needs is more. That they need to improve more. That is why at least a subtle improvement would help a lot. So between the 11-year-old and the 8-year-old, the 8-year-old will usually he will brag about whatever he has. You know, he has a big car. He is smarter. He's better. And one day they decided to play chess. You know, they decided to play chess. However, my student who was this 8-year-old, the smart one, not the smart one, but the 8-year-old, he will only invite the one who is at his level. He wants to be friends with the 11-year-old, this boy. But because the 11-year-old is not as smart as him, he assumes, it's also showing. So the 8-year-old will actually refuse. He would say, no, I don't want to play with you. At first he wants to be friends, but when he knows this kid is not smart, at first he would say, even while he was trying to build the friendship, the 8-year-old will ask, hey, do you want to play chess with me? And the way he asked it was very rude. I couldn't recall back the way he actually said it, but we all know how sarcastic tone would sound. Yeah, so my student that was the 8-year-old was being very sarcastic. And all I said was try to speak politely. All right? Because the 11-year-old is very nice. He is the total opposite. So every child needs to know that every one of them are different. Not every single one of them are having the same mindset, the same way of portraying the world, the same way of studying, smartness, all those things. Yeah. So the problem is children are not exposed to differences. They're always being selective, because sometimes I've seen, not my own relative, okay, my own relative. For example, we went to a beach. Yeah, we went to a beach and we were playing with the family members and all. We were playing games. And while we were relaxing by the beach, we saw an autistic child. Usually autistic, the child would usually scream, right? When some autistic can be very excessive. Some autistic children will act normal. It's just they maybe will ask a bit too much of questions, a bit more smarter. But this kid, he was just running and screaming all the way. And then he stops and then he screams again. And then I've heard one of my relatives telling the child, I mean, the daughter or the son, to not even go close to that child, just because the child is autistic. And then, you know what my relative said? If you're being close to this autistic child, you have the possibility to have autism as well. You will become like this kid. I would say, is autism really a bad disease? You know, I mean, of course, it's a bit difficult to handle. I wouldn't lie. Autism, ADHD, and anything like bipolar, schizophrenia, those type of mental health issues are definitely hard to deal with. But who are we as adults teaching our children to say, you'll become just like them? If the parents heard that, what would they feel from adult to adult? Sometimes I do see that some adults are behaving like children. Not to disrespect, but when they start to downgrade, when they start to insult or say bad things about another child just because of the disability, the disability or any flaw that the child has. Sometimes, for example, there's child A and child B, all right? So child A is good in writing and child B isn't. Suddenly the parent says to the child A, who is good in writing, don't be friends with child B. And the child will ask, why? He's my friend, he's just a friend. Or not, you cannot write just like him. Do you want to be like that? And automatically, child A will say, okay, I don't want to be friends with child B. I want to excel, I want to be better. Why would I be friends with him? He is so not smart like how I am. You know, I can write and he couldn't. So this is where the children start to think negatively. They will build such toxic mindset, and it eventually passes down to every generation, which is a huge concern as well, I would say. Okay, so this is basically the example. This is basically the example of the writing that I mentioned earlier. My student who was 4 years old. So the one on the left is his way of writing. Okay, his hands were fidgeting. Everything was, you know, like a normal 4 years old. Even 5 years old write like this in my school, even in other schools as well. My student who was 8 years old, you know, the one that I mentioned is now the smart one. That we assume he is the smartest one in class because that is reality. But of course, there is no discrimination among my students. I treat them all fairly. So, this is his writing at 4 years old, with tracing and without tracing on the left. On the right is the type of writing that his parents wants him to have. You know, and they will start questioning the teacher. Why isn't my child writing like this? Why is my child's writing showing some fidgeting, you know, showing some, you know, it doesn't look good for them. But for us as teachers, this child is improving, because the minute he entered school, like during the first day, he couldn't write at all. Even with tracing, it was not okay. All right. So when he slowly does that at the age of 4, for us, it is a good development. I've asked the supervisor, the principal, and they all agree, okay, this is good. this is an improvement for this child. Maybe 2 months, 3 months ahead, he will improve eventually. But no, the parents expected more. And then, again, every single time writing, this child will always come to me asking if his parents are proud of him, if he's doing fine, if he's excelling. Is anything, will everything work out the way he wants it, which is to make his parents happy. Probably when he does that, he will maybe get a reward, and it's normal. If the child improves, he will get a reward. But for us as adults, can't we stop this generational curse of forcing children to actually be so hard on themselves? Yes, because they deserve freedom. They deserve kindness. They deserve tolerance because they're very young. They're very new to this world. All right, it's okay for us to actually push them education. I respect that 100%. I would say, if I'm a parent, I would also be strict, but have mercy. They are developing. They are trying to do better, and as long as we see them improving, even subtle improvements, at least we try to relieve ourselves, even though we have expectations that, oh, he can do better, she can do better, my child is smart, my child can do this and that. If he or she can draw, then he and she definitely can write. What is the problem here? Yeah, the problem is the child needs some understanding. He or she maybe develops well in art, but maybe not in writing. Even my own friend, he is good in mathematics, but he definitely is not good in writing. He is not good in selecting such words to write an essay, but he is amazing in mathematics. And his parents are very encouraging. Yeah, his parents are very positive. His environment is very good. It's just he wants to push himself more. And at that point, all I could say is giving some advice. Just some advice for him to calm down and relax. Because it's from him himself. So it's on him on how he wants to fix his inner conflict to actually do more, to actually push himself more. So yeah. Okay, so proceeding to this drawing. Oh, sorry. I'm mistaken. Did I mention? Oh, I didn't explain about self-concept. I truly apologize. Wait. Okay, so I'm truly sorry I missed the self-concept part. So self-concept is also a theory that I would like to meet in this session as a target, also created by Carl Rogers. So in this self-concept is where we will implement self-image, ideal self, and self-worth. So this is related to the theory of personality, and self-concept is the subtopic of theory of personality. Okay, so first is self-image. How do we picture self-image? Is our current self. How are we? Our behavior, what we want, what we do. Those are all self-image, current self, ourself now. And this also has to be implemented in children. We ask them, how do you see yourself now? Are you strong? Are you pretty? From all these kind of questions, those are all simple questions, right? But from there, we will see the way they think. Do they think that they're, for example, ugly? Do they think that they're not smart enough? Are they being insecure? Are they being ignorant with whatever they're doing, with even the question itself? Okay, so that is self-image. I've been practicing this in university, which is my degree. Our lecturer has given us task and assignment to do an essay relating to self-concept, and it helped me a lot because I get to portray what I am now, what I would like to be, what I would possibly want to be. And self-worth is, what do I actually deserve? What do I deserve as a human being? So this can actually be an implementation to us children as well. Maybe at the age of 5 or 6 when they are good in communicating. So, like self-image, we have our question just now. How do they see themselves now? Are they pretty? Are they handsome? Are they smart? Do you like your school now? Do you like to study now? All those, all right? Because we want to make it simple because they're children. And then continuing to ideal self. After self-image is ideal self. So basically, what we would like to be. For example, we ask them, what would you want to be in the future? Like, follow your own imagination. We don't have to pressure them so much, saying, oh, you need to be this is so unrealistic. No, at the age of 5 and 6, they don't even care about realistic things. They are very young, unless it's homework, unless it's relating to whatever they are doing currently. So just ask them, what do they like to be? Some of them would say, I want to be a superhero. I want to be this, I want to be that. So okay, make it simple. Just as long as it's positive, and ask them back. Is this what you really want? Is this what you really want? Or is there anyone telling you to be like that? And if the children says, my mom asked me to be a teacher, but I want to be something else. Or my mom asked me to be a teacher and I'll be a teacher. Yeah, follows the mom 100%. Okay. And as a teacher, of course, we have to respect that. We cannot say, oh, the mom is wrong, the dad is wrong. No, but we have to find ways to make it subtle, a subtle way of approaching them to make them understand this is your choice. All right, this is your choice, and make sure the child is happy with whatever he or she chooses. Okay, so that is ideal. All right, and the last one is self-worth. Yeah, self-image, ideal self, and self-worth. So self-worth is basically what we think we deserve. Okay, so when we relate to what we think we deserve, it goes back to basically what we want. Okay, so for example, if you know that the child is being treated badly, maybe at home, you're aware of it. Okay, you are very aware of it. And even at school, for example, the child is being bullied. Ask them, what do they truly deserve? What do you think? How do you think people should treat you? Should they treat you with kindness, or should they treat you like how they are treating you now, which is bullying? See their answers. If they're being ignorant, if they don't want to think about it, if they are having the avoidant attachment vibe in them, then they will say, oh, I don't mind being bullied. I don't mind being pushed around. I'm happy with how I am right now. Some children can be like that. Why? Because they feel maybe ashamed to even share about it. But show them that you are aware. And when you talk to them about that, make sure it is not close to other children. Make sure there is a gap, because we are talking about personal needs, personal wants that the children has. So we have to provide, like I said, a safe environment. When they know, oh, I'm safe with my teacher, slowly they will open up. Slowly they will refer to you if there's anything. They will talk to you if there's anything, including asking about self-concept. And for example, if they are treated poorly at home, like for example, the parents neglect them, ask them back. What do you think you truly deserve? How do you think people should treat you? And some of them would answer, I want them to treat me nicely, at least listen to me, at least spend time with me. Some children can be like that, and some of them cried in front of me. Some of them cried, and I was speechless at that moment. I didn't ask exactly using the self-concept, but I did ask about what they truly deserve. What they truly want, and what do they think they truly deserve? Okay. So slowly we can see the child's way of thinking. Slowly. It doesn't come out easily at the age of 2, at the age of 3. That's why such interviews, small I would say this is as an interview, a small interview, which is relating to self-concept, can be done at the age of 5 until 6, even primary school.
Okay, but during primary school, they're good at hiding feelings. So probably it will work, but maybe depends on how the children behave. If you see that the child is being rebellious, the child is getting worse at during primary school, maybe you can ask them relating to self-concept as well, or maybe relating to humanism, and try to see the way they answer you, the way they talk back. If you know the child's case is getting worse, then the counselor it is. Counselors has more ways on investigating a child. Counselors comes from a background of counseling, psychology, and all that. So they have more expertise than just a teacher. What I'm offering in this session is for teachers to actually follow with a low cost, which I will show later, which is low cost, and it helps to actually meet the children and teachers' need. Because of course, as a child, they want to have a safe environment, a happy environment to learn, and as a teacher, we want to feel eased when we teach them, right? So that's all from here. I'll continue this one I showed. Okay, this is an example of the drawing that I've received from my own student back then. It looks exactly like this. So he was 6 to 7 years old. Okay, so I was teaching him for a while, for a few weeks, maybe 1 or 2 months. I teach him during 2023. Yeah, 2023, in the month of April. Oh no, not April. January until February. Yeah. So I start teaching them from there. So this child, out of 20, he was the only one who drew this kind of drawing. And when I asked him, what kind of drawing is this? He said, it's a monster. I was surprised because I said, draw any cartoon that makes you happy. I mean, that you like. That like I said, it's a monster. At the age of 6, why would you draw a monster? I don't mind if the color is blue, if the color is green. Maybe it's not a huge concern, but it looks like this. And with color pencil, it looks even worse. And it was scary to me. Yeah, because I asked him what is his character. Suddenly he mentions about this one cartoon viral on YouTube, Skibidi Toilet. Yeah, I bet this is worldwide. Skibidi Toilet. Yeah. So when I saw it, I asked why you choose black and red. He said, because it matches the monster. It's scary. It's terrifying. And the red part at the body, it's blood. When I asked him, what is that? It says it's blood. The red ones on the left, on the sides of the monster is red color. That's the hand. Okay, but what I'm scared of is the eyes. It looked angry back then, and all the blood dripping in his drawing. So I collected. Oh no, I just marked it, but I did not take it back because at first I thought that the concern is maybe just for a while, but I changed my mind. The next time I done another, because my class is mostly free art. Yes. It has standardized art as well, but because I was doing my internship, so I asked my principal, my seniors if I can do free art. And they were fine. They were fine with my idea. So everything was good. Like my friend, she focuses more on standardized art. No freedom at all. Because we went for internship for only 2 people. My friend did standardized art and I didn't. I mean, I did, but not all the time. There are days that I provide free art as well. Sometimes I use colored paper. Sometimes I use white paper. Like for this drawing, I use white paper. Yeah. So with the encouragement of this, we can see what is this child actually thinking about. Why would a 6-year-old actually draw a monster? Because I've seen all my students, even the ones who are not that smart, because they score low in examinations, I would say that they had lower marks. And this boy who drew this monster has the lowest marks among all. He has the lowest marks, which makes me quite concerned as well. However, I just remind him, it's okay. Don't do it. another time, you know, because if I want to say it scientifically, it will be quite hard for the child to understand. So the way I convey it is by saying, you can draw a monster. It's up to you, but try to try to color it with brighter colors. And then I'll ask them, you're pretty, you're handsome. Why would you use all black? Why would you use all red? You are smart. You are this. I have to give further encouragement to my students. And after weeks, I did another session of free art, and this boy who drew this monster listened to me. He said, okay, I won't use all black, maybe a bit of it, but not all. And I was fine. And seeing him improving, and when he chose brighter colors, when we provide safer environments, it just got better. You know, the marks increased from, for example, in spelling, out of 10, because it was kindergarten. So out of 10, first he got 2. Slowly, after repetitions, after a few practices, he got 5, and then increased to 6. 6 was the last one because I didn't get to teach him for long because they need to transfer to primary school. However, everything was great. Okay, so this is how we actually can see as teachers. How do they actually portray? What do they want to tell us? You know, so I would say if we have a child that scores the lowest in class, and we know this child needs help, especially kids, take that time, spare some time for them and ask them about their situations, about how they view studies, how they view some subjects, and provide a safe and wanting environment for them. Make them feel included, not feeling left out. Okay. So I would say as subtle and further interventions, to see what is truly freedom. So I will just speak about it here. I want to emphasize two, which I hope further institutions can actually follow this, which is free art and free multiple choices exam. Not exam, but multiple choices task. Okay, so why? Because I want to make it low cost. I want to make it easy for teachers to handle. So why I emphasize on free art is because I would say that, like, for example, just now, when we emphasize free art on children, maybe instead of 2 times a year, let's make it 5. Let's make it 5 times a year to monitor the child by months, you know, especially young children, because they don't know how to draw, they don't know how to manipulate the art yet. They're still being very honest, most of them. They're being very honest with their art. So with free art, it will help them actually increase their creativity. It will actually help us to monitor these children, and to see where they are trying to navigate this whole thing, this art and everything they're trying to show us. Ask them the details, even though it may sound nonsense, right? It may sound nonsense that it is not important, it's just art. No, it's big. It's big. You will, like, most teachers will see it. We will see the improvements and the problems through the art. Okay, and then probably we can ask them in a nice way, ask them their opinions. This is also a starting point to actually monitor the way they think, how their mental health condition is through free art, which probably we can just provide color pencils, you know, low cost, color pencils, crayons, maybe, depends on the teachers, depends on the institutions really, but make it free. If we want to make a design, for example, a mask, maybe make it free for them as well. The design is free, the color is free, as long as it doesn't lead to any scary signs like I showed just now, the monster drawing. Okay, then next is to provide free multiple choices task. Like usually, standardized education, free multiple choices will still have right and wrong, right? But how about we as teachers, we provide free multiple choices task, which is just like free art, but ask them questions that are simple. They will start to question, why is it not standardized? Why is there no right or wrong? And maybe the parents, if the parents know about it, maybe the parents will ask as well. You know, some parents will feel weird. Why is the teacher doing this? Why is the school doing this kind of method? But some of them will start to understand how concerned we are to their children, how good we are as educators, you know. So ask them simple questions. what is your favorite color? What do you like to do at home? What do you this? How do you think about your mom? How do you think about your dad? How do you think about your family? How do you think about your friends? Simple questions. Don't make it relating to subjects. Make it relating to life. Yeah, these are the 2 suggestions that I provided for this session, that I would say is low cost and easy to cope with as a teacher and children. So yeah, that is all from me. Okay, so that is all from me. Thank you.